right, we need base runners. Let's go. Chris Lanzilli, so good to have you tonight. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this tonight.
So, Chris, where are you coming at from us? I know that you've played ball on the East Coast. You played ball in Arkansas. Where are we talking to you tonight from?
So I'm back home, just outside of Boston. I'm going to be here for the next year or so. Then hopefully migrate down to Tampa, or spend some time in Arkansas, somewhere other than here. But this is where I'm at right now, and it's freezing cold. And we're about to get a lot of snow.
That's the thing with the Northeast. But I'm going to be honest with you. I've done a lot of traveling, personal and work through my life. Been to almost all the big cities. Honestly, Boston is my favorite city to visit. In the summer.
Yeah. No, I mean you'll if you visit for a few days in the winter, I mean you'll have a good time. You'll just be freezing. You just gotta wear a lot of clothes. But a lot of people do say they enjoy Boston just because it's a little bit cleaner than like a New York or a Philly, and it has the culture that a lot of those places have. So
yeah, to me it seems like it's a very active city too. I was running a lot the last time I was there, and I ran up and down the Charles River, and they're doing their rowing, and it was just so neat. There's so many people being out there. Just neat. Been to the the old taverns with all the history, and very walkable city.
A lot of history.
Once you get to a place, and then I had the great pleasure of going to Fenway Park and seeing a game, and this was probably like 99, maybe almost 2000, and Pedro Martinez was going to pitch, and they were playing the Mariners, and Ken Griffey Jr. was in his prime.
That's a good game to catch there.
They went head to head, and I was with a friend of mine, and we had great seats. We're probably 15 rows behind first base. I mean, we were going to go. We went, and we're like, who's going to get the best of it? And Ken Griffey Jr. did take him yard.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But what an experience,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nobody. Who else can say they got to see that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the College World Series in 22, but they had a graphic on the screen of me back when I used to work at Fenway. I was like an alcohol security supervisor, so I was checking.
I missed that.
Yeah. I was an underage kid. I was checking IDs and making sure people were old enough for the booze, and yeah, I mean I enjoyed working at Fenway and getting there early and watching batting practice, and it wasn't much of a job. It was more like just going to the Red Sox as a kid. Because
experience.
I quit doing the job after about a week, so I just ended up watching the games.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So I've got a last thing on Boston. We'll kind of get into what you're doing, but I've got a friend from work out there that's in around Belchertown. Does that ring a bell with you? It's
I'm not sure.
Kind of closer to in between like Springfield and Worcester.
Oh yeah, that's a while away. Yeah,
it's a ways out. But he's involved with their Little League, the sanctioned Little League there in town, and they have a 2-scale Boston Fenway Park that they play on for their rec league. Yeah,
for a Little League field.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
they play every week. It's not travel ball. It's weeknight games. And it's Belchertown. I swear, if anybody's listening, go look it up. It's really cool. It's not hard to find, and it's 2-scale exactly. And they spent a lot of time on it and did it right. And I'm going to see him in January at a meeting. We always talk shop. His kid's 11. Shout out to Patrick Cruzio in Belchertown. But it's just that whole area is really cool, and I just like it. So I get the weather though, and I get maybe someday not wanting to do that full time. But we're glad that you came on and stopped by. A lot of things to talk about. We definitely, just to preface this, we're going to get into what you're doing with fitness and your work life now, keeping that in the game of baseball. But, this is about travel ball. So why don't you just start us off and tell us, what baseball was like out in the Northeast growing up? When did you get started? Did you play rec? Did you play travel? Just kind of give us a little tour there.
Yeah. So, I mean, early on, obviously did the Little League circuit. I was one of those kids. This is, can be good and bad, but I was on a lot of teams as a young kid, and probably could have used uh, a more, if I played more sports growing up, I probably could have benefited from that. But I loved baseball, so I just wanted to spend all my time doing that. So I was on a few teams, did a little league, enjoyed all that. Come 15 years old, I played for North. I don't. You guys know travel teams? You know Northeast baseball or no?
Not really.
No. So
Not really outside of our area.
it's 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 pretty for the ages 14 to 18. It's pretty well known around the country because they have national teams, they have Northeast teams, they have regional teams. They're one of the best travel teams in the country usually for the Rays. They have the Rays, and that's usually one of the best teams. And that's one of the you make so many connections in the baseball world growing up, and you continue to talk to people, and they help you out in life. And that's one of the owner of that program, Scott Patterson's one of those people that I still talk to today. He helps me out. I'll give him a call. I need something. Just valuable people like that. I'm really grateful to have run into. So Northeast baseball was it for me. Went to the big tournaments in Georgia, Alpharetta area. Some of the Florida ones, and that's where I got recruited by Wake. Was my sophomore year of high school. I had just I've got Tommy John my sophomore year of high school. I was throwing, so I was winding down my pitching career, and I was throwing against my brother's team at Northeastern University, and I just wanted to throw some cheese. I just wanted to, I didn't really care where the ball went. I wanted to throw hard against my brother's team. It was all his friends. It was all the older kids there, and maybe like the third or fourth pitch of the inning, I felt a pop, and I heard somebody describe what it felt like, and I was like, I know what this is. I know I just tore my UCL. Anyways, I tried to throw another pitch after that. Probably came out 25 miles an hour, didn't reach the plate. They took me off the field and ended up having to get Tommy John surgery. Anyways, get the surgery. 2 days later, I went down to Wake Forest, and they were building all their new facilities and the pitching lab and all the beautiful things. And I loved the head coach. On the visit, I went down in my sling, my Tommy John sling, and I ended up committing there because I loved the school. It was a great place for me, but also I was not going to be able to play for a year. It was like 14, 15 months for me back then. I know it's probably shorter nowadays, but ended up committing to Wake Forest, ended up playing as a freshman there, having a pretty good back end of the year. In ACC play, I think I was one of the leaders for my stats that my freshman year. Was a freshman All-American there. Then had a pretty successful time there until my senior year. Had a little bit of an off year. I was going through some mental issues, but then that's what brought me to Arkansas. Was a fifth year there. Matt Hobbs was our pitching coach at Wake Forest before he went to Arkansas, so he brought me over to Arkansas. And the rest is history. Yeah, it's kind of a brief description of it. I tried to run through as fast as possible, but if you want to
we're
get into
in no
depth.
hurry. I'm going to back you up a little bit just to make sure that I'm on here.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
How late when did you quit pitching, or when did that end for you?
So that was my sophomore year of high school. So I think before then I was pretty much wrapping up my pitching career. I just had a good arm. I threw pretty hard. I just didn't. I knew I was going to be a hitter. I think so. I definitely wrapped my career up after the Tommy John, just because I was, I was hitting after then, and with the rehab, I think I was able to hit 6 to 8 months into it, and it just ended up I developed as a hitter a little bit better.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm curious because one of the things we talk about a lot on the podcast is arm care, and you mentioned that you were on a lot of teams growing up. Do you feel like that you pitched a little bit too much?
I don't think I was one of those kids that pitched a little bit too much. When I was younger, I was really, really strong, and I wasn't very mobile or flexible, and I think that had a lot to do with it. I was very tight as a kid, and just didn't have a lot of layback there. So once I didn't take care of my arm. Also, I was kind of just a grip it and rip it kid back then. So that definitely contributed to my UCL reconstruction. But I don't think my parents are responsible, and they didn't have me out there throwing every day. or throwing as hard as I can every day on the mound.
Right.
So on the on your ability, you said you played with a great team out there, and this is kind of a common thread on people who make it to your level. You played at a high level, kind of on travel ball before you get to a school, and you played
Yeah.
at two great schools. When did you know that you were good enough to do that? You said 15 is about when you went there, 14, whatever, but at 9, 10, 11, were you just, outpacing everybody, slamming balls off the fence, or did it take you a little bit? Did it come natural, or did you have to work?
I I, I was blessed because I was a big kid back in Little League, and so I always kind of had a strength advantage over a lot of the kids, and so yeah, I mean, it came natural to me a little bit, and I was hitting home runs in Little League. I was setting the town record and everything, and but then on the other
Oh, it's
hand,
just that. No big deal.
no, I mean, on the other hand, I have friends that are still playing that weren't. I back then in Little League, I thought were going to be the worst. Like I thought they were going to be quitting after by the time they were 14, 15, and now they're still playing because they got drafted or they made a lot of money. So everything matters in your life, but there's certain things that matter a lot more, and how you play in Little League is more so you're developing your love for the game, your movement patterns, certain skills that need to be developed and that are at that young age your brain's kind of like a sponge. You're basically these movement patterns that you're learning at these ages. Like, this is why people say you need to play more than just one sport, is because your coordination, your proprioception, like all these different things are developed so much more at that age than when you get older. Like when you're my age, you're gonna learn a new skill. If I'm learning to squat when I'm at this age, if I've never done it before, you're gonna take a lot more in at that age, as opposed to my age. So the more diversity in your skill set that you can develop at that age is something that I want to kind of emphasize on this, just
So
because of the way.
tell us some of the best things that kids can do to diversify their athleticism.
Uh, like, be a kid, go play tag or go play manhunt or go play flag football. I know you don't want to. We played tackle football growing up, but I mean, protect your head. I think you should play flag. I don't know. You should just do these fun activities that require athleticism and different movements. I think that's one of the most important things for, if not the most important thing for a kid athlete that wants to be. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be great growing up, but it helps you develop these movement patterns that in your coordination and your everything that will set you up for being a good athlete. Anyways, I kind of went off on a tangent there, and what I wanted to say was I was great in Little League. I struggled a little bit going to how is it still the same way as I was growing up, going to the Big Diamond from the Little League Diamond 12 to 13?
Well, out here, what they do is the 8, 9, and 10s play on, Charlie help me,
So
46-foot pitching, 60-foot base paths.
9s
11
and
and
10s play 46, 65.
65, and then
11, 12s play 50, 70. 13s play 54, 80. And then at 14, you're on a full size field.
they
Okay,
stair
yeah,
step it now.
that's a smarter way to do it for sure. I mean, I think that when you're 13, you're not quite. I mean, everybody's different, but you're not quite strong enough to play on the Big Diamond. I think because when I was a kid, we did 12. We were on Little League Diamond, then we went right to big league diamond. What do you call it? What's the correct term for it? Big diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah, 69.
Anyways, I think that I think that made a lot of kids leave the game was because you can't. Sometimes kids are so underdeveloped at 13 years old, you can't even hit the ball out of the infield. I mean, I think it definitely helps to make the game a little bit more fun and keep them on smaller fields at a younger age. But I think as I'm alluding to. You got to kind of keep it fun for kids and you know, instill in them this love for the game that you know, will last until they're older, and that's the best thing that will make them want to work hard to become a great baseball player, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to get into what you're doing now, but I'm going to ask one question first. In that same vein, we are, for people listening that haven't before, Charlie and I's team that we're with, our boys are 12. It's that age, and we are talking a little bit earlier, Chris, where you used to say, well, they're only 12. Well, now they're 12, right? It's 13, 14's coming fast,
Yeah.
and high school's coming fast.
It does.
So we're really working hard on challenging those kids to start in on their fitness and their development, and realize that it's been a lot of fun playing baseball to this point, but it's go time. We got to work a little harder. You can never hit too much, all those things. Well, you're still playing other sports and being a kid, but you are. It's time now in today's world at 12 to get after it a little bit, in my opinion. I tell my son I tell all of our kids this: when you guys have to start thinking 2 years ahead when you try out for your high school team, which is about when that'll happen. And you got 1, 2, maybe 3 days, depending on the school, to show a coach that you can be better at something than other kids out there. You got to be better at something. You got to stand out at something. You know, even your mom and dad love you, but they ain't going to get you on the team. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, for like my son, he's a little smaller right now as far as height, but he's very athletic. So I'm like, you got to use what you have now. Your power will come later. And that's he plays center field. It's being explosive. It's being the best fielder you can be. It's being a great base runner. It's everything. Even when you hit the ball, explode through it and get the most out of it that you can for your size. That other stuff will come. So for me, explosive-ness is what I'm trying to get in his. And he is. He's already fast. He's a fast little kid. I mean, he's athletic.
Right.
But we're trying to accentuate that so that, you know, that's going to be something that stands out for him whenever he gets into a pool of kids that the coach doesn't know anybody. Right. And so I'm curious about some of the things that we could do, you know, in the fitness world. We just recently bought a box jump, you know, the little 20, 24, and 30 box. And we're working on 3 sets of 10 on the 24, and then he does the 30. He can do the 30. I can't do the 30, Chris. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Dad's had a little too much lasagna over the years. But man, I tried the other day. It was bad. But I did it for him. I'm trying to do things like that. I'm curious before I go in. It's not about what we're doing at my house, but I'm trying to learn so I can. What would a good explosive training be? Because anybody in baseball, they say pitching and hitting is like one of the most explosive movements you can do.
Yeah.
It's an explosive sport. What kind of things come to mind?
I mean, you said he does reps of 10 on the
We
box
do 3
jump.
sets of 10 on 24. I make him do them as quick as he can.
Yeah.
And then rest. Do the 10 as quick as he can. And then we do the 30s just at the end, just to, you know, challenge him because he's tired.
Right. Well, I mean, baseball, think about it. I mean, during my time, high school coaches would make us, when I first got to high school, I was 13, 14, I think 14 years old. High school coaches would make us do a time mile. They'd make us, you know, lift really lightweight and do a ton of reps and just workouts that didn't quite make sense in terms of like baseball development. So you said your son's 12?
Yeah, the 12.
So for his development at this age, I really like the box jump you got. I would cut the reps down to as quality of reps for 4 or 5 reps. You're swinging a bat as hard as you can one time. You swing and miss. You take a step out of the box. You breathe for a little bit. Then you get back in to swing as hard as you can again. Like, you need your peak power as much as you can, and you should take your rest in between sets, and you should do short sets.
Okay.
For explosive development. You can get him med ball stuff. He should start throwing those in similar ways to hitting, similar ways to throwing. Get his rotational explosiveness. Have him develop that. Just certain things like that, jumps, plyometrics. Keep it power development and make sure it's not a conditioning workout, because we we do want to be in great shape as baseball players, but conditioning is not nearly as important as your explosiveness, especially if you're trying to if you're trying to train explosiveness. You don't want to be gassed constantly and not getting your peak power. You want to train that peak power and elevate that peak. You understand what I'm saying, kind of.
I do.
Yeah. So that's where I stand with power development.
Okay. Well, the reason that we're talking is that I saw an advertisement that you had out there for, I believe you refer to it as Lanzilli Fitness,
Yes.
as your business. I want you to take the time now to tell the listeners a little bit about what that is, and then we're going to get in and talk about it because it's an interesting concept. So feel
Right.
free to show off here a little bit.
No, I'm just gonna explain it
And
and do the best I
congratulations.
can.
I mean, you're doing something. And this is what I find fascinating is the people who really love baseball, they find a way to stay in the game somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have
Exactly.
to always play. You can't play forever, but
Right.
you're finding a way and it's really cool. So I'm excited to hear it.
Well, I mean, I kind of got it from my brother. My brother was out of baseball a few years ago. He's 2 years older than me, and he's down in Tampa working at he's like the one of the head throwing strategists, I think his term is, at a biomechanics lab down at Kinetic Pro. It's a really advanced. It's almost like a um, smaller version of like a drive line or or more so tread, just because it's pitching. But he's way smarter than me. I'm just getting going. I enjoy. I've always enjoyed lifting. I've enjoyed working out, and I think it benefits a lot of people. And yeah, I want to so I've been to so many places in my life. I went to North Carolina for Wake Forest. I'm from Boston, obviously. Like I said, I went to Arkansas. Went and played pro ball. Went to all these places and made so many different relationships. So I don't want to just work with kids in Boston. I want to work with kids all over the place. So Lanzilli Fitness started basically because I have a passion for lifting, as I said, and developing into a. I think I have a grasp of developing kids into strong and healthy baseball players, and also did a course on NASM, which is like a certification process. But anyways, I trained in a commercial gym as a young kid. Trained from the age of as young as 10, and just kind of figured myself out and made myself. I lifted a lot of weight. I was kind of a bozo sometimes, but I learned as I went and started incorporating movement stuff and power stuff and eventually gradually started getting good at writing my own programs. And especially when I was in the minor leagues, I was buddy buddy with all my trainers and grasped all their knowledge and um, but have met so many good trainers throughout my career, and I kind of take a little bit of each person's what they put on programs and just kind of saw their experiences and everybody writes differently, and everybody believes different things are more important than others. But anyways, I've seen kids go from. I was going to mention this kid's name earlier in the podcast. The specific kid that I'm talking about, he was really bad in high school and was one of the kid that I was speaking about, who I didn't think was going anywhere when we were 12 or whatever. Even when we were early in high school, wasn't very good. Was like a position player. Anyways, and he was a really small kid. Anyways, he started the right training program. I'm not sure where he went, but it was a trusted source and ended up throwing in like the mid to upper 90s and got drafted out of high school. And
Oh, wow.
so if you're a kid listening and you're not at where you want to be, it's never too late. Like you can get really good in a short amount of time, especially when you're growing like that so fast. And it also happens the other way around where guys are so talented at a young age and kind of coast and don't get around the right people and don't train the right way. You could fall off and definitely stay ready, get yourself around the right people and get yourself a nice structured training program.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, the early bloomer versus the late bloomer, the advantages and disadvantages of both, because it truly is, it works on both sides. What's in your business you've got now, who do you think you can help the most, and who's your target audience age-wise and skill-wise?
So I work with I have a few kids that are 10 to 12, and then work with a good amount of high school players. I even work with some of my pro ball buddies. So it's really not, I won't give a really young kid I'm not going to let him. I had a parent come to me trying to get him to squat a lot and, and lift all these heavy weights. He was like 9 years old. And I was like, I will help him develop into somebody that's prepared to lift these weights when he gets to maybe 13, 14, but I'm not going to put that on him right now. He's not ready for that. But yeah, so I work with kids of all ages,
Okay,
basically.
let's say we'll do two different scenarios. Let's first do the 12-year-old kid that's just getting ready, and then we'll jump in and do like the high school kid that's got some dreams to continue playing. Um, you write a program for them.
Yeah.
How do you get that communication to them? Is this email? Is it phone calls, FaceTime? I really don't know anything about it. If
Yeah.
I'm a parent, what should I expect interaction-wise from you, and how many days a week, that kind of thing, for
Yeah.
like a 12-year-old?
So it's really nice. I work through an app, and I have the workout programs on there. It has the name of the workout, it has the video, it has a full description, it has the mechanics of it, it has everything. So I think it's really beneficial because the kids can learn themselves what they're doing and they're not just told, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it also mentions you're doing this because this reason. When I was in college, we, I'm not going to, it was nobody that I'm tied to. So I hope, like, don't speculate to this. But a strength coach that I know um, would put stuff that does make sense to knowledgeable people in the fitness world on our training programs, but it just seemed some of the stuff just seemed foolish to us kids that were just kind of college baseball players that were meatheads, and he lost kind of our engagement with it, and so I think one of the most important things is letting kids know why they're doing something, and it helps them kind of set goals for that and understand why they're doing that specific movement. But anyways, for players really young, I focus on basically building coordination, mobility, and the love for training. So it's not going to be, like I said, it's not going to be something that's. I'm getting off topic here. I'm going to stick
No,
to
well,
this.
let's
So
go.
here's the app.
I'll keep this on. So, how many days a week would a 12-year-old have an expectation to do something, and then how many days of the week do you check in, and what
Right. So
source?
it's all personalized to them. So like I said, it's on the app. So I speak to them or their parents. They tell me I want to do this, and if it sounds relatively smart, like I'll if it sounds okay, I'll give it a go. But if it's something ridiculous, I want my kid lifting every day. Like if it's something that some of these parents come to me and it's just like you're hurting your kid and he's not, just let him go play, let him have fun. Um, we kind of come to terms on that, and so it's all communicative process where everything's individualized. I put them through a movement screen. So a movement screen basically, they'll I have videos for them to see. You have to do this movement. You have to get into a squat with an overhead reach. You have to different movements where I can see their imbalances, where they're weak, where they're strong, what they need work in. So that helps me individualize their programs.
So, let
Um,
me ask you this, because I'm learning.
Yeah.
They are taking a video on the app of their
So
movement.
yeah, so it's a video, yeah, through the app.
Okay. So they're videoing themselves, sending it back to you for analysis.
Right. So they're just basically mimicking the movements that I'm doing in the video, telling them what to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's really beneficial because it helps, like I said, individualize the training program. And I need to move better. I need to get stronger. I need to, my hips are tight. My right hip's tight. Whatever's specified to them. But anyways, you asked about the app, and I went on a total tangent.
Is that right?
And so I you have all the specific stuff for the workouts that you need, and then you have the communication process where we talk through the app. Basically, I'll communicate with them a few times a week through the app just to kind of keep them updated with all things workout related, and then they have free reign to reach out to me anytime. So a big thing about this process is I'm trying to be a resource to these kids. 24/7. I mean, as long as they need me. Whether it's workout stuff, whether it's baseball, whether it's the college process. I kind of wanted to be a resource. That's why I'm doing it through an app as opposed to just like sending programs and kind of. I think that's a lazy process with it. So it's kind of it touches a lot of different bases, and I think it's really beneficial for kids because I've been through good times in my baseball career and also bad times, and I'd love to help kids not go through the bad times and kind of correct some of the mistakes that I made. Some of the people that I ran into that I didn't trust, some of the people that were great to me, and I kind of want to be a trustable source for them, and just go from there.
That sounds really cool. It would be awesome to have a fitness or strength training program that's built by a baseball player. If you are a baseball player, because you know specifically what baseball players need to do to
Right.
get better at playing baseball, not just get stronger.
Yeah. So it's a double. I mean, I also create hitting programs, weighted bat programs. Weighted bat programs are one of the best things you can do for bat speed, and bat speed is super important. So I
You
do a
talking
lot of
about a
that
heavy
stuff.
bat or the under overload? What are you talking about?
Both. I mean, I swung those drive line, overload, underload bats. I actually used the Tater one, but the same concept. Yeah, swinging.
You
I mean,
did
if you're
that in
swinging,
college, Chris? The underload overload training, was that part of y'all's?
I did it a little bit at Wake, um, and then at Arkansas, I'm sure I did a little bit of it. But then I wrote my own program when I was in pro ball, and really trusted into it. And I got myself a little blast motion, and tried to increase my bat speed as much as possible.
So I think this is going to work. I don't know how long have you been doing this?
So I stopped playing in June, so since probably mid-June.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why I think it's going to work, because I think for a motivated kid, they still need accountability. And when you have a desire to do something and you have someone holding you accountable, all that just works.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the kid that wants to do it. And what we did with our kids this summer or this fall after the last, we said we're going to start working, and we signed them some activities to do on their own 3 days a week. Go play basketball too. I get it. Go play your other sports, but we're going to do 3 days a week. I took the team, we have 10, and I divided them in half, and I took each of our catchers and made them a captain, and they have to report. The other four have to report back to the captain. The captain has to report back to his team what they did that week. Which activities did they do for our hitting to get personal development in this offseason? And it's working. You know, we put some challenges out there. It's competitive, but they know that, I could easily have said, here's a program, take it home and read it. Mom and dad, try to make sure they do it 3 days a week. And we all know they wouldn't have done it every single
You'll get one out of 10 kids maybe buying it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now they're held accountable, and they know every week they got to report. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a you're in trouble thing. It's just we all agreed we wanted to get better, and this is how we're going to do it. I
Right.
think if if I was doing this and I knew I had it, you were looking at it, I'm not going to cheat myself. You know, if I have
But
the goals to play, I mean, you're holding me accountable and guiding me in the direction too.
And you
I
have a
think it's a slam
specific
dunk.
roadmap of what you need to do
right,
to reach your
yeah,
goal. It's not so abstract as I think. Like if you just say, lift weights, work out, run some, do
a
some
little bit of
hitting.
structure. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
And personalization, that's what I got out
hmm
of it,
Yeah,
listening to you, the
yes,
personalization. Like we've got 10 kids, all 10 would have a different kind of, focus and need
for
for
right.
sure.
improvement. All bodies are different.
hmm
I think it's a really cool thing. Can you tell us a little bit about how it's going and
Yeah.
where's some of your kids at?
Well, something that I wanted to add on to that is like the first one of the first kids that I got was a really young kid. He was 10 years old, and he was struggling in some part of his swing, and he had me on the chat for probably from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Not constantly, but every half hour would be going back and forth long messages about this part of his swing, and I enjoyed that. I enjoy when kids are wanting to get better and wanting to speak about how to get better, and I think it kind of benefited him. I was able to find videos for that teach him, this is what you need to do, and this guy's really good at teaching it. And so that's kind of adding to your guys' points, and it's kind of like uh, obviously you hand the kid the workout like you were saying that your 10 kids they're probably not going to do it, but it's also like it's my buy-in, but it's also their buy-in. So like kids that want to get better do extremely well with this, and kids that are a little bit shaky on it and their parents are forcing them, they might not last as long,
Oh yeah.
uh, but
Yeah,
but
well,
but
some kids are they're doing good right now. Um, they have that early bloomer advantage. There's not as much motivation for them to stick to the program and work hard. I
oh,
mean,
okay,
I'm
yeah,
guessing that this 10-year-old is motivated to get better, but he's
yeah.
probably not doing as well as he would like to be doing.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean he's looking to get better, and he's working hard. I get a notification every time they complete a workout, and I like when they leave
So
me
cool.
feedback so we can communicate about it. So he does a good job with that.
Yeah, so I see it's rewarding for you for those listening, watching, which is most of you. As Chris is telling the story about working with the 10-year-old and him really diving in, you're just smiling ear to ear. I mean, it's got to be very rewarding for you. Hopefully,
Right.
it's lucrative for you at some point too. But I just talk a little bit about that. I had lunch today with some guys, and we were just talking about careers and my job's fine. I like my job, but but to be able to do something, really passionate that's you grew up with, how good does that feel?
It feels great. I mean, it's kind of obviously I played baseball my whole life, so it's so relatable and it's so easy. It comes a little bit easier for me than a finance job that some of my buddies have. Like this is an enjoyable process for me, and um, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the episode, but I it's so relatable to me because I was that kid working out in a commercial gym, and I didn't have structure. I kind of just created it for myself gradually, and to be able to give kids that are working out wherever in a gym, at home, wherever, to kind of give them structure for it from somebody that's been there. Um, the one of the biggest points that I created this is to make it a lot cheaper than some of those big facilities that are professional with this, and to kind of give them similar workouts to as if they were working out at I'm not going to mention any names, but some of these really big time workout facilities that you're paying 500 $1,000. I don't know specifics, but a very expensive rate per month, and to give these kids it for an affordable rate because your parents shouldn't have to pay that much money. You should be able to get a good product and also be able to enjoy life and not pay an arm and a leg for things. For kids to get that structure, it's a relatable thing to me because I could have used that.
And they can get it if they live in a rural area and don't have access to those types of facilities too.
Right. Yeah. So just get
What
the
would you say? Let's go rule on that, Charlie. I like that angle. See how smart she is. Say you got someone that doesn't live right by a Planet Fitness or something, just run in there and have access to all the ropes and the weights and everything. How would you? And they don't have a ton of extra money, but they've got a little bit of something at home. What do you need to have at your house for you to be able to create a program? How creative can you be? Maybe someone doesn't have an academy purchase box jump, but do they have a box they can jump on? I mean, how creative have you been to this point in where and what they need to have?
Well, I mean, my 10-year-olds that I have a few 10-year-olds that do this and a few 12-year-olds, maybe one 11, that don't have any equipment at their house, and their parents were smart, and when I spoke to them, they said they don't want them using. I mean, if they had a box or anything like that, that's a different story. But they didn't have any equipment, so we work with what you got, and we be creative over it, and it works out that way, and the program's just as quality. It's not gonna. You need a little bit of weight once you turn 13, 14 years old, but
Sure.
I can work with whatever you got, and we can make the best of it.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So how do and we can put it in the notes. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to, if somebody's listening, they go, I'm interested. My kid's dedicated. We're 13, 14. He has desires to play high school ball, wants to get better, whatever the case may be.
Right.
How's the best way to get a hold of you? And we'll make sure that we have that information in the podcast
Yeah.
as well.
So there's three ways. So by email, that's what I put out wherever I'm listed, but it's 17 Lanz, so LANZ.
Yeah, we'll put it in the notes. People can go and look at it.
Okay, CH at gmail.com. But then I do. I have an Instagram and a TikTok. I'm new to TikTok, so I'm working on all the social media stuff. But I put free workouts out there on TikTok.
Okay.
They're not going to be individualized towards your son or towards yourself, but they are as professional as you can get. They're the similar workouts that I did in my pro ball career, and I put those on TikTok. And then for Instagram, it's more going into depth on individual exercises. I try to make it more educational on Instagram. So my account names are Lanzilli Fit. So yeah, I just try to put as much up there as possible, and kind of take requests if anybody's struggling on something. I actually put a video of early in my career, when I hit a lot more home runs as opposed to late in my career. What caused me to hit a lot more ground balls as opposed to balls in the air hard. I put that on my Instagram account. So I put some hitting stuff. I put some workout stuff. I put
no,
a lot.
let's back up there, Chris. I want to know
Yeah.
that answer
Yeah,
right
what
now.
happened?
What happened?
Well, it's a lot of metric stuff that if we
Okay.
went into depth, your heads might explode. But I just kind of wanted to give an explanation so that, because I could go back into the game and easily fix it and be the hitter I was when I was younger, but I don't really. A lot happened in my career, and I'm fine hanging it up, and I don't really have that passion for being a player anymore. So I just kind of wanted to get involved in this part of the game.
So on those matrices and whatever the case was, and we won't go into the details, but you found what that was yourself, or were you working with someone else and said, man, if I would have done this and changed this, I could have maybe kept hitting more home runs and less ground balls. You found that yourself? How did that work?
So I couple nights ago, I wasn't able to sleep, and I was kind of just looking through my camera roll, and I was I found this is gonna sound conceited, but I was genuinely looking through my camera roll. I had a screen recording of something Wake Baseball posted when I was a sophomore of or a junior of my like highlights and stuff, and I hit a lot of home runs then, and I from my senior year at Wake to pro ball, I hit a lot. My ground ball rate went up a lot, so I saw where my hands were, and I checked some of my metrics, and I was like, dang, I could fix that in like a second. Why did nobody say this to me in my career? And it's kind of unfortunate, but I'm here for other people so that they don't
Yeah,
run
pay
into
it
issues like
forward.
that. Yeah, you know.
I love that. I
So
love that. You're so analytical about that you went back and figured it out. And don't feel conceited, because if I had your career and you walked in my house today, there'd be signs everywhere that
I
were fun.
appreciate it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would just let the people know, if
Well,
I had
David,
your
I don't
kind
know
of
how
talent.
how Gavin is, but yeah, the first thing after a game that Dylan does is get my phone and look at all his highlights, and he'll
Well,
probably watch them 5 times.
Yeah, Game
yeah, that's
Changer,
part of.
Chris. Did you have
Yeah.
Game Changer around when you were growing up and doing all
Yeah.
this?
Well, we didn't have
So,
video on it. Is there video
oh
now?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Everything's video. The whole
What?
game's
it
video.
records the game and it automatically, as long as you put the stats in, clips highlights and assigns them to your kid. So you can go click on your kid's name and it'll show you every play they made.
What?
It's so
That's
cool.
that
Broken
is
out by
cool.
defensive and offense and
Defense, hitting,
pitchers.
pitching, everything.
And so you'll have
Wow.
all your highlights. And yes, Gavin does that as well.
Yeah.
Well, unless he made an error, then he don't
Yeah,
want
we
to talk
don't
about
watch the
it.
bad plays. We only
No,
watch the good plays.
That's some of the fun that I'm talking about. I mean, people can hate on, all that stuff. I mean, I never did like TikTok as a kid or like on any of these social media things, but they have fun and it kind of like keeps them in the game and it keeps them growing in the game. So I mean,
I,
I think it's pretty good, some of this stuff.
I do think, yeah, that like for all of the bad things people say about travel ball, what I see every single weekend when we're out there is kids having fun.
Yeah.
All the kids, I mean, kids are having so much fun playing travel ball.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I remember was just very serious team. I mean, I was on a very serious team, but very serious teams where parents were paying to send their kids to different states to play on these travel ball teams. A lot of the parents would like fight during the games, and I was like, "Dang, I'm glad this is not my parents." It's kind of embarrassing for the kids.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the travel ball scene's a little different now. It's really advanced rec. I mean, that's honestly what it is. It's because everyone plays travel ball basically, and you're just playing tournaments on the weekends.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
like it's only the best kids play travel ball. That's
yeah.
not how it is
Yeah,
anymore.
12, 13, that's still going on. I mean, at the 15, when you made the
Right.
team
yeah.
and there's no more, tournaments that are local. Yeah, you're going to be doing similar things to you, maybe not on that wider level, but yeah, right now it's
Northwest
it,
Arkansas tournaments will have 200 teams.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are they out of state
Well,
or are they
from
all?
a lot out of state. I mean, as you know, we have lots of. Oh, I don't know if you know this. Northwest Arkansas has great youth facilities.
Really? Yeah, I did
Yeah,
not know that. I've not
yeah.
been to
So
any of them.
we get a lot of out of state, out of town teams coming into Northwest Arkansas and playing. But there's a lot of teams every weekend playing tournaments.
That's great. That's good to
It's
hear.
fun.
I'd love to
Yeah,
make it down to that. Yeah.
yeah, you got to come back, man. And,
yeah. Coming out to
hang out
Kessler.
with us on a
I
Dodger
usually
weekend.
come out to what was that?
Oh, our team's the Lindsay Dodgers. Lindsay
Oh, okay.
Associate there in town. Yeah, you have to come
How far is
hang
that
out with
from
us.
Fayetteville?
We're
Oh,
in Fayetteville.
we're in
Oh,
fact.
it's in Fayetteville. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I usually make it down for a football game, but I just the timing didn't align this year, so I wasn't able to. But this year, I'm finally going to be able to make a baseball game, which I'm
There
pumped
you
about. So
go.
yeah, I'll definitely if you guys have a tournament that weekend, I'd love to stop by
Oh,
or
that would be
whatever you're
great.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll
You can
send you the
stand behind the
schedule.
plate and fix all the kids' swings, and we can't
Yeah,
play with it.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, and
Keep your
all
hands
the other
up.
what are the cliches that you remember hearing in your in your ears when you were playing? What did the parents in the stands say that stands out that used to drive you crazy?
like mechanical stuff, like
No, whatever.
Whatever.
The
Keep your eye on
parents
the
say,
ball.
yeah,
good
like
on,
keep your eye on the
take one.
ball or you're stepping in the bucket or like trying to think of what else.
Step in the book.
There was just
My
ridiculous drills that they
oh,
made us do when I was really young that made no sense. I just wish more people like thought with like reason. I don't know.
That's
There was a
what
lot of
when we're
yeah,
coaching our team, I think when we do drills and stuff, we really try to make it like, how does this specifically relate to something they're going to do in a game?
yeah.
I was
No, yeah.
walking by a field
It's
one time
important.
and I saw an 11U team practicing, and there was a kid literally standing on top of a bucket, and they were throwing him baseballs. Like
What?
the bucket was tipped over, and he was standing on top of the bucket, and they were throwing in baseballs, and he was hitting them.
Wow, that's impressive. That's
I know
impressive
someone was
stupidity.
watching YouTube
Yeah,
and
I was
got a
getting ready to
video.
say impressive, stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Oh yeah,
maybe it worked.
I
yeah.
doubt
And
it.
I remember one specific drill was when we would just it was this. I don't know if they still use this as, for kids, and maybe this does improve hand speed. I don't really know, but just the length of time that we did this drill was, I think, not correct. We would do we would do soft toss and boom, 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 just rapid fire, and it would be
Oh
for like a minute straight, and I'd be out of breath, and I'd be like, I think this is conditioning work.
yeah.
My hands might have gotten quicker the first 10 swings, but after 100, I think I'm just out of breath, like fatigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to what we talked earlier on the box jump for my kid. Maybe not 10 reps, do 4 or 5 and do them quick.
Yeah,
You know what I think
yeah.
some of that stuff is, honestly, is I think parents take their kid to a hitting coach for an hour, and he can't come up with an hour's worth of stuff
Oh, yeah.
that's going to improve their kid's hitting. And so at
Believe
the
me,
end,
yeah.
you're getting stuff like that. That's like
Yeah.
he
I
just made
mean,
up something that sounds
yeah.
fun.
So my first year in pro ball, I was a hitting coach. I lived down in Philly for my off season. I in my off time, I would give kids hitting lessons, and I would just be such a different hitting coach than the rest of the people, because I would like I wouldn't do that much mechanical. I would just compete with them. I'd be like, I'm the. We'd start with, your front toss, your tee work, your this and that, and get warm and get your get your mechanical stuff down. But then I'd be the pitcher out there, and you'd be the hitter, and I'd be throwing my stuff, and you'd have to compete with me.
Yeah.
So I found that the most beneficial, just because I had
What's
experience.
your velo post UCL?
Uh,
Because you can get up to 80.
80? Oh, I
Yeah,
could, yeah.
you can throw 80.
I I went down to my brother's pitching lab a week ago, or 2 weeks ago in Tampa, and I hadn't thrown since June, and I can get to 80 without even throwing, but my arm might fall off. That's what it felt like,
Yeah.
just because I haven't been throwing.
I get to
Wow.
80 when I throw it twice.
Yeah, you got to add them up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I think I'm a good BP pitcher for the 12-year-olds, because I throw about as hard as a 12-year-old.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm like,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the
you need
key to
somebody.
BP is spinning it right. You just got to backspin it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, thanks. We're going to get all this out for. I think this is interesting. I've got more questions offline about this, but we'll put the information. People can reach out to you. But I got a couple more things real quick. One, I want to know, and I guess it could be Wake Forest as well. I just like hearing college experience. What's one good memory that you had in college in playing baseball? And it doesn't have to be the World Series with the Razorbacks.
Oh man, that's the tough one
Oh,
to
okay.
beat,
We'll
though.
talk about it then. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Um,
I got you.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I had so many awesome times and so many awesome people that I met throughout my baseball career and college baseball, and um, I'm super grateful for that. But the cultural series, I mean, that was something that I had never imagined being at, and it was just one of those things that you dream of, just like kids do. They dream of that, and I was there, and it was the energy there, and you just felt like you mattered. Yeah, like when Razorback fans show up, it just feels amazing. Because I mean, the year before my senior year at Wake Forest, I was going through a little bit off the field, and on the field, I really didn't give my best effort, and to come to Arkansas for my fifth year, and those fans just gave me so much energy on the field, and it drove me to want to be there, and to have fun there, and to go to Omaha with them and other fan bases was just something that it changed my life. I mean, I feel like during that week or two in Omaha, I got so much closer with my teammates, and um, was only at Arkansas for a year, and I'm in Jace Borfin's wedding next month. So I mean,
that's awesome.
I made that good of friends and that good of relationships there, and I will never give that up. Like I've loved that part of my life. you
Yeah.
know.
So you guys are all hunkered in. I hadn't asked. I don't know why I'm asking the question other than I like food. What are you guys eating all week? What are they feeding you? Are you guys eating out? Are they
At the
catering
College
stuff
World Series.
at the
Oh,
College
in
World
Omaha.
Series? Yeah, what are they
I'm
having?
trying to think.
I mean, you're highly trained athletes, but I'm like, you're in a hotel. What do you eat? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not
is
eating
it pizza
we're
and
not eating
burgers or? Yeah.
McDonald's.
You're not out
They're
doing those
feeding
Jello
us
shots,
pretty
are you?
well, and they also gave us meal money. I don't think they're taking us to all these 5-star restaurants, but they do a good job there, and that combined with the meal money that you get, you can take care of yourself and not eat crap.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember specifics, but I do remember it was my birthday there, and I
During
went
the
out with,
World Series, it was your birthday.
yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
I
great.
went to some nice places with my family. Actually didn't make it out, but Jace's family brought me some nice places, which I was lucky about. But team wise, they feed us well. I wish I could give you specifics. I just don't
No,
remember.
I don't even know
My
why I'm
brain
at.
is my memory is not that good.
Yeah. Well, tell me about this memory when you first took the field for the first game. I mean, how just what was going through your mind when you were on the field for the first time in Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, I think it
Because it had to
was,
be a packed crowd, right?
yeah, definitely, and it was definitely nerve wracking, but like I guess a good, if there is a good version of nerve wracking, but I think what prepared us was that we played in front of so many fans at home, and they were probably even louder than the Omaha crowd. So it was like if I was coming from Wake Forest where we got 1,000 fans a game to Omaha where you get 26,000, I think it would be a little bit higher of a jump. But for Arkansas kids are just prepared differently, in my opinion, just because you're used to
It's
playing in
unique.
front of
It's unique.
yeah, and but it was a feeling that I can't even describe. It was so cool. It just
Do you have a? We talked to Blaine Knight last week. Do you? He had a technique that he used when he was pitching, and he felt early in his career when it was nerves, big crowds. And what our kids, they're 12. Some of these kids listening, their parents are kids, they're 8, 9, 10. I mean, they get on the mound. It's a pool play game. They're hyperventilating, right?
yeah.
It's a big deal for them. A lot of pressure. What do you have a technique, or what do you do to calm yourself that you could pass on to the listeners that when you show up into a kind of something that's not comfortable?
Yeah. So one thing that within the last few years that I've started using is box breathing. It's you take one inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then repeat the process. And that's something that kind of calms my heartbeat down. And I think just learning to breathe in general is important. So that's one technique. Then when you're up at the plate or you're pitching or whatever, my experience was up at the plate. So I had my thing where if I was feeling a little nervous or whatever that specific feeling is for the kid where they're not feeling prepared to get in the box, I look at my bat, inhale, exhale, just breathe, just think of my breathing and let that stress get out of me. Just find somewhere to stare and breathe
Yeah.
when you're in
Smith,
that
You're
moment.
wiping the moment away. Like you're not thinking about what pitch this guy's going to throw you
Yeah,
or anything like what you did in your last AB. Don't roll over.
less
You're
is
not thinking
more when
about any of
it's
that.
yeah, less is more when you're talking about thinking. I mean, if you're when things are going well in baseball, you're not thinking much. So
Yeah.
you just need to clear your head. You need to breathe, and yeah, find your technique because different things work for different people. So
Hmm.
it's not specified to one person. None of these techniques.
I tell you, I'm learning talking to all these guys, Charlie, because I've been
Yeah.
telling for the last
We
several
joke and
years.
say really the only reason we started the podcast is so we can get our kids better at baseball and
Oh
help
yeah,
our
I mean,
team.
Yeah, we're
you
taking
guys
all
are
our
so
ideas.
open to learning, which is
Yeah,
awesome. So
Oh,
I
we
mean,
have to be.
no, but a
We
lot of
got a
people are
yeah.
long way to
stubborn,
go.
and a lot of people are stubborn and unwilling to learn, and yeah, you just have to appreciate the way you guys are so open to
Well, what we've
learning.
learned the last 2 weeks is that you and Blaine Knight, both high-level players, both College World Series participants, zone out on an object and you don't race and have a thought or a word in your mind, and you
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
it right. And I feel bad. I've kind of let our boys astray on that. We're gonna work on that come January.
Yeah, because I think it's almost like the opposite of what you would think that they should do.
Try
yeah.
Because
to give
Well,
them
we're
a
like,
positive
think about,
word, but
yeah,
then
or
that
like think
word
about,
makes them think about something else,
yeah,
and I shouldn't be doing
yeah.
it. So
well,
Even
add
when they're in
on
the
me.
field, we say the same thing, like, that they need to be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
I
Maybe
think
that's
it all comes to like your prep. It comes down to your preparation, and when
right.
you've done the work to get to where you are at in that specific moment. I think when you can trust yourself in that situation, that's when you're prepared, and that's all the nerves and everything like that goes away. I wouldn't say it goes away, but you're able to deal with it a lot better.
You believe in yourself because you know you put the work in beforehand.
Right. That's a lot smarter and simpler
Yeah,
way of saying it.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, I'm not gonna let you out of here. You played a little minor league ball. Had to be some good stories, right?
Some stories.
I mean, do you remember of anything that's just I don't know, funny or memorable?
Give me an example of something. You don't have to. I know you said Blaine.
I'll tell you. For those that haven't listened, go back last week. Blaine Knight told us about. It was I'm going to get it wrong, Charlie. Monkey puppy rodeo.
Rodeo, yeah.
And they put 7 or 8 sheep on the field, and then let these Australian herder whatever dogs out, but they had monkeys on the dogs dressed up like cowboys, and they
with little saddles,
saddles,
like rhesus monkeys.
And in between innings, they would herd the sheep.
Oh, wow!
On the field.
As like a minor league promotion. This was when he said this was when he was in low A, I think.
I've been thinking about it all week, Charlie. Every day
I keep meaning to go to YouTube and try to find a video of it. He said that they don't do it anymore. It's not allowed.
Well, on field stuff, I mean that beats mine. But I mean, I have something that's kind of interesting. I mean, I was on the Kannapolis Cannonballers when I was in low A, and we had a guy get inserted into a cannon and get shot out. He was the cannonballer, and that was in between innings or after the game. I forget
what. Like a mascot for the team.
Yeah, but he only showed up for that game, so or he was there for a few games, but he got shot out.
And the name of the team was the Cannonballers.
Yeah, Kannapolis Cannonballers.
They used to be the Indians. Kannapolis did. I guess they changed it because of the Indian thing. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure back in the day they were the Indians.
Right.
Kannapolis Cannonballers.
Well, I don't know. I appreciate you stopping by. We've kept you for an hour, and I appreciate you coming. I'm going to get all the information out. We're going to promote the heck out of you. I want to learn a little more too, and so we'll probably be talking. I think it's really, really neat idea, and makes it accessible. I like what you said about I'll work with what they have. I will work with what you desire to become, and it's not something you just pull off the internet. This is your experience, your passion, tailor-made to a kid's desire. I mean, that sounds like a home run to me. I know it's going well. I hope it just goes wild.
It's a great idea.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I enjoy it. So I hope to work with a lot of kids, and the kids that I do work with, I enjoy, and even some of the kids in Massachusetts I meet up with sometimes at the gym. So I really enjoy what I do.
Well, that's awesome. I'm sure we're going to talk again. Thank you again so much. We'll get all this information out, and for everybody listening, we'll see you at the ballpark.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.